right? So we are pursuing a discussion of the meaning of Oyer Atzmi. Oyer Atzmi, that also qualifies for the term of Etzem, of tzelem. Tzelem is a name from Atzmus. How does Oyer refer to tzelem, for Etzem? So this we had the mashal from Oyer HaShemesh. And the Oyer HaShemesh, when it comes from the Shemesh completely without any obstruction, then it is the Shemesh presence, and then it is that's called the Oyer Atzmi. The Maila, the Ayin is the Ayin from Oyer in Seif. So he said, what is Pshat Oyer in Seif? So for this he brings down what the Chazal say. That before the world of creation there was just He and His name. These are words that kind of give us a description, understanding of the what they are referring to. He Yushmoy, the Who, Koyalo Atzmus. Who, as we explained this morning and the other day, who is in third person. Third person means that it is obstructed, inobtrusive. Koyal Atzmus, that refers to the Atzmus. Nikra Hu, Atzmus is called Who. In other words, this Who inference is not merely saying that under these circumstances we call them Who. So then it is not referring to us, we're referring to our perception, our circumstances. But since we are talking about before the world was created, you understand here? Since we're talking before the world was created, so therefore we're not talking about any kind of a point of view. It is not a point of view. There is not another entity from which point of view we are describing it. We are speaking about there's only He. And this only He we're referring to as He. Why is that referred to as He? This He, this Helam, is not a relative Helam, a Helam relative to the one who is trying to see Him and he doesn't see Him. Because we were talking about before the world was created. There's no one there to refer to identify it as He. So since he's referring to He before the world was created, that means that we're referring to He as a proper reference, not as a relative reference. That Ayin, that He, in English He, in Hebrew Who, is a reference to Atzmus. Who koyalo Atzmus? Nikro Who, this He is called Who, the Hainu Bechinas Hela. Thank you. Because Who is a Bechina of Hela. The Hainu. And what is the inference in this? What is the point in this? Of referring to Him as He before the world was created. It is to denote and to refer to Shuhu Bechinas Helam Be'etzem, that He is the Bechina of Helam Be'etzem, a Helam in an essential manner, meaning not relative to any observer, but Be'etzem. Shein begeder gilui, meaning that he is not within the realm of gilui. Ein begeder gilui. Since I said we're not talking relative to any observer. So, in what sense am I referring to him in a form of helam? There's nobody to observe it. So in what way is he helam? That means the helam be'etzem. The term helam applies to him not relative to observers, but even without he himself. Shein begeder gilui, because he is not in the geder. He does not possess that quality, that element of gilui. He's not in the realm of gilui. Chochmah kol Etzem bilti misgal. As the expression is, kol Etzem bilti misgal, that any Etzem does not reveal itself. Etzem does not reveal itself, not because it conceals itself. The Atzmus is not misgal. It's not in the realm of gilui. Ushmoy, and then his name, that's the second level, Hoyahu Ushmoy. Shmoy hu bechinas hagil. Excuse me, that is the gilui aspect, which is not part of him. This is Shmoy. Shezehu rag ha'ora min ha'etzem, which is only ha'ora from the Etzem, not the Etzem itself. The Etzem itself is bilti misgal. That cannot be misgal. A ha'ora min ha'etzem, this is called Shmoy, which is where the Shmoy means gilui, because Shmoy is the means by which we refer to something. Amen. This is called ha'ora min ha'etzem. Every one of these breaths is recorded.
What's the contrast? After recording.
I'll say a little further and then stop to discuss it a little bit. Ve'ein ze gilui ha'etzem mamosh. He says it's a ha'ora min ha'etzem, a ha'ora from the etzem. So we have to understand. But this is not gilui ha'etzem mamosh. This is not the gilui of the etzem in the real sense. Ki im gilui ha'ora levad, just only a gilui of a ha'ora, she'eino etzem mamash. That is not the etzem in the real sense. So we discussed this morning a little bit to get us a little bit of a focus. Ha'ora min ha'etzem, that is not the etzem mamash. So this morning we used the following analysis. We said a human being behaves in a certain manner, such as he eats in a certain way, he communicates in a certain way, and so forth. So this Indian, that he behaves in a certain way, we say this is exclusively human. And if he does not behave this way, he's not behaving like a human being. So, although that is true, have we then identified the essence of what a human being is? In other words, have we identified what is behind this principle? Why does a human being behave in a certain way, and if it's not that certain way, he's failing in his human capacity? So we explained that the essential in what a human being is beyond behavior. Behavior is a reflection, it's a order. The essence of what a human being is, you cannot possibly identify it. Because this is what's called an Etzem. How did the human being get this Etzem? Which is where we have to clearly recognize and focusing and understanding his boyness. The human being is a direct godly creation. This is not something that has developed over years. Developed over It's a direct godly creation. God gave the human being that essential quality. Over the years, yes, there's development. The development only consists in identifying, okay, how does that express itself in behavior? How does it express itself in communication? In living form. We don't live in caves anymore. We live in mansions. This does develop, but it's all drawn from one nakuda. That nakuda, this is something which was given to him by his Creator. In that nakuda, that hasn't developed. This is the essence, the Etzem. Then there is Gilui, Ha'ora. In Ha'ora, the proper reference in Ha'ora is he's behaving like a human being, or he's not behaving like a human being. This is not the human being, this is an influence. An influence of a human being, a reflection. It reminds me of a human being. That's essentially what the Ha'ora is. But this is not what defines a human being. The definition of a human being is something which we cannot, which is not misgala. Kol Etzem B'Bitum misgala. This is a godly creation. And Etzem B'Bitum misgala. Okay, let's continue.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. So we're talking here about Etzem, but the point of the discussion here is really the oyer, shmoy, right?
Right.
So it's sort of a paradox that it's supposed to be an atzmi, exactly like the Etzem, but here there is Gilui. Is that
No,
point?
that's the. Where does it say that? There's no. That's not the point. The point is identifying what is Shmoi.
Okay, but the fact is, it's kind of a contradiction in terms. It's an Atzmi, but it is revealed.
Well, the fact that it's not me, we are still going to. One second. That was going to. Right now, we're saying this is only Ha'orim and Ha'etz.
Okay.
Shmei begins Ha'gilu Shazer Ha'orim Ha'etzem. Ein ze Gilu Ha'etzem Mamash. Shmei is not Gilu Ha'etzem in essence. Ki yim Gilu Ha'orim Levad She'ein Ha'etzem Mamash.
Okay. Got
That's
it.
what Shmei is. So hopefully we're getting to understand the influence by the word ha'ora. Gili ha'ora.
Not as impressive as a Gili of the Etzem itself.
Ha'ora means that it is definitely an influence, it's pointing to it. In other words, on a functional level, for example, this is the Etzem as it would be on a functional level. But Etzem is not on a functional level. So Gili ha'ora. Sheinu ha'etzem mamash. What's the difference? Whether it's a ha'ora or ha'etzem mamash. This we'll still discuss.
I'm sorry, but is the tzelem Elohim, is that, have we said anything about that? Is that a ha'ara, or is that's something even higher than that?
Okay, we'll come to that.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we're going to have the parentheses over here. But Mokim Achim and Word, this may be a little bit kind of distracting, but we'll get into this. You know what? I'm going to skip the parentheses for the time being, just to conclude the statement before that. And the end of the parenthesis is 2 lines from the bottom, from the end of the stop section.
Oh wow, that's all parentheses.
Oh, so you have a different version.
Yeah, there's a parentheses within
Yeah, the bottom here. Yeah.
There's also a parentheses within the parentheses?
Parentheses, right. Okay, so let's again go back to before the parentheses and then jump to the bottom. The Ayin is a gilu etzem mamash. It is not the gilu of the etzem mamash, because etzem mamash cannot be gilu. It's not begeder gilu. You have to ultimately understand this not begeder gilu. Not that it cannot be gilu because it conceals itself. The whole element of gilu is not applicable over there. Kiyim gili ha'ora levad, the oil is a gili v'ha'ora, she'enehu etzem mamosh, which is not the etzem mamosh. Now let's skip to the end, to the bottom of this paragraph. After the parenthesis, 2 lines on the bottom. Ava mikol mokoim, but yet still. Harei hu al kol ponim. It is al kol ponim means at the minimum. B'chines gilui shemin ho'etzem, an aspect of gilui that comes from the etzem. Shehu k'moi ho'etzem. Since that it comes from the Etzem, then it means that he is k'moi ho'etzem, that he is like the Etzem. Because this is a gilui that comes from the Etzem. Again, let's go back to our muscle of the human being, of the human behavior. Even though the human behavior does not give us the essential point of what is a human being, but nevertheless, that is a ha'orah from the Etzem. In other words, it suits the Etzem, and it is reflective of the Etzem. Shehu k'moi ho'etzem. Ve'al shem zeh nikra b'tzalmeinu. And because of this inyan, that he is k'moi ho'etzem, that this oil is k'moi ho'etzem, so that's why the oil also is called b'tzalmeinu. Bechinas surah Atzmus, our form. Our form means surah Atzmus, a form that is not an add-on form, a form that is not for the purpose of representation, but a form that is actually reflective. The reason he has that form is because of what he is. Surah Atzmus.
They think that every form is a representation.
Let me give us a little bit of an insight. I know these are things which are extremely fine and extremely subtle, and generally speaking, we are not really ready for this kind of insights, fine distinctions. But nevertheless, I think it's extremely important and pertinent, even for us at our level. Particularly because of the struggle that we are exposed to. The world has come to a point that they claim they know everything. They know the initiation of all existence. If they don't know it yet, they will know it eventually. That type of view is missing an extremely important point. And what is the important point? The very point, is there a reality to the world or not? Because if it is real, and Etzem does not have a beginning point, does not have a knowable start. The correct way to understand the world is to start from a presence level, not from a non-presence level. Because the non-presence level is not knowable. And if you are ignoring it because, I can't know it, so therefore I'm going to know what I can know, you are ignoring the truth. Then you, by definition, you're not talking about the truth.
Truth being that it starts from a presence.
That's right.
But an unknowable presence is beyond.
It's right. It starts from an unknowable presence. And the unknowable element, that's the beginning of the world, not the knowable. And anything that is knowable is already goes into the category of gilui, of creation.
So again, you may think that every surah is a representation. You just said it's we're saying that there is some kind of real form, primary.
But that's
form.
not the Etzem mamash.
The surah is not the Etzem mamash.
This is not the Etzem mamash. The ha'ora is a ha'ora only, not the Etzem mamash. The Etzem mamash is not nisgal. The Etzem mamash is not contained in the world.
And surah is reflective here of Etzem mamash or of the ha'ara.
There are two different levels of surah. Now we're talking about the surah as it applies to the ha'ora. The surah is applicable to the ha'ora. Why? Because the ha'ora comes from the Etzem. He is like the Etzem, but that's not the Etzem mamash. Like I give the example from the human being. It's a tangible example. Clearly, it is not representative of a lakus. But nevertheless, this is a representation of the union of an Atzmus. The human being's presence in the world, as we said all the time, is not a relative presence. It's a fundamentally basic presence. He's just there. He has the right to be here. It belongs to him. How? That's the way God created him. He started owning the world. He didn't own the world by claiming it. He came into the world as an owner. This is the human being. He came into the world as an owner, and as a knower, and as a ruler, as responsible. His main task, his commission to begin with, is le'avdo l'shamro. This is his commission in the beginning, which was given to him by his Creator itself, not circumstance or anything like that. Therefore, it is, again, I'm always trying to bring it in on a human level so that we can relate to what we're learning. Definitely, we must recognize that the principle of human behavior has no explanation. Why should I behave this way, not that way? Because this behavior is reflective of what the human being is, and this is not.
The most you can say is that some behaviors are fitting and some are not.
I'm sorry?
The only explanation that can be given is some fits with who the human being is and some does not. Nothing in itself. You don't.
It is not an explainable entity.
Right.
It is not begilui. It is an essential entity, reflective of the fact that the human being is in essence. And in essence, the essential element of the essence never comes with you. It's not reflected in any of his activities. Okay, I just wanted to, this I think gives us a little bit of an understanding what this is all about and what's the significance of this. And the better we understand it, clearly the better we can relate and understand the world we live in. Isn't that amazing? All right, so now we're going to go back to the parentheses, beginning of the parentheses. We have the place.
Where are we?
We are
We are at the fourth line on page Kuf Sam Gimel. At the parentheses.
you have it?
One line from the top,
Yeah, Kuf Sama Gimel.
from the parentheses.
The parentheses, yeah. Elsewhere it is explained the who koy gamkin al hoir. Now we said hoyehu shmoy. So who we said refers to Atzmus, which is an essential state of hell. And as we explained now, why do we say it's an essential state of Helam? Because we're talking about before the world was created. Clearly this Helam is not a relative Helam. Helam from the perspective of the creation, but there was no creation. So therefore how is who referring to him, to the nefesh? It means because this is referring to Helam Be'etz. Elsewhere it's explained the who, that the word who in this statement, the chachomim, koy gamkin al hoir. It actually refers to the oil also, not only the Etzem, but the oil also. But oil is gil, and who means hell. So the explanation is that yes, who is refers to the oil also, except shuhu bechinas etzem ha'oil. That in the oil itself, it is the bechina of etzem ha'oil. Shu bechinas hell. Okay. What does it mean, Etzem ha'oil? So, I'd like to explain it a little bit for those of us who are sticking it out.
I am, but I'm very confused.
David?
So you're explaining now Etzem.
Right. I'm explaining with this the principle that Etzem oil, that who refers to also the oil. Except that this is what's called refers to the Etzem oil.
So this is higher than Shmai.
Right. Shu bebechinas hell. Etzem oil shu bebechinas hell. just to translate the words, bechinas Etzem ha'oir. Just like when we talked about the human beings as the essence of the human being. Even though we do not understand, we cannot really identify what is the essence of a human being. But somehow we are capable of seeing that there is an essence of the human being. The human being has an essence. Where do we see that he has an essence? That he's an essential presence. And he said before many times, the human in the world, just his presence in the world, already has an effect, not his action. It means that this is a real presence. So who refers to Etzem ha'oir? What does that mean, Etzem ha'oir? It means the following. Oir is gili. Normally gili means that which can be known, that can be understood. Gili, in other words, means that which can be expressed to someone else. So gili, by definition, is a relative phenomenon. There is someone who needs to know, and I'm explaining to him. I'm explaining to him on the basis of how he is able to understand it. So therefore there is all kinds of relative principles in this. The question that we are so to speak, asked to contemplate is there an essential truth to this oir? In other words, is it only relative to a recipient? And if there is no recipient, then there's no such oil. And the recipient is who defines what this oil is. In other words, if there is a recipient and I formulate my thought in a manner that I can present it to him and he will understand it, then that makes the oil enough. But if there is no recipient, then there is no point of formulating the oil in any particular way. Then this oil will be, if there is oil when there is no recipient, then this oil is representative of the Etzem. It's not formulated according, to fit the recipient. It is the Etzem oil. What is the Etzem oil if there is no gila, no recipient for the oil? In simple terms, okay, I want to put it now in a general statement, perhaps we can relate to it. Let's take a very simple human phenomenon. You have an idea, a very profound and refined concept, an insight. And you have not expressed this insight to anyone. You have not expressed this insight to anyone. You can't even, so to speak, surmise as to who would be suitable to get this insight, to whom I would care to explain it. At that state, at that moment, in that stage, does this insight have an element that could be formulated to give it to someone or not? This is a chad. Oil. Oil means give. And we talk about the Etzem oil, which means that what is Etzem oil? Again, Etzem oil means a statement that there is an essential truth to this explanation, even though it has not yet been formulated and it has not been presented to anyone, but there is an essential truth to it. Etzem means there is an essential truth to it. Let's take a very mundane, down-to-earth human illustration. Today, we have cell phones. And with these cell phones, we are able to speak across the world. And as we mentioned all the time, that this phenomenon, any phenomenon that is developed, started and actually represents an insight, a concept that a human being have on an essential level. Before we ever had cell phones, we couldn't even imagine cell phones. But in essence of the human being, as we point out all the time, in the essence of the human being, there is not a point on the earth that he doesn't relate to. Practically speaking, he can relate, he can reach it. But it's all part of his earth. And his projection and his dream, or even less than a dream, that maybe I can eventually connect to the other side of the globe, is not an imaginary thing. It comes from his soul. It's a reality. Etzem. There's a reality to it whether you know it or not. It's knowable. This is called Etzem warrior. So here we have a situation in our motion that even though this is only an oil, this is only a projection of the human soul, so to speak, a ha'or of the human soul, but it's an essential ha'or. as we said this morning, I think, or the other day, that a human being, if he is imprisoned, and by virtue of this imprisonment, he is confined to a certain area, and by virtue of this confinement, he cannot really contemplate or relate to that which is outside of that confinement. And therefore he relates to a finite world, no matter how big the finite world is. He's already not in his domain, not in his element. He's already in pain. Which means that this element of Gilui has an essential truth to it. Even though it's only a ha'ara of the human being. What's the matter? Who is with me here? You.
I'm with you.
You're with me? Thank you.
Yeah, I know. It seemed like that was going to be a conversation.
So, this is bechinas Etzem ha'oyer shehu bechinas hell. This is the Etzem which is in a state of hell. What is the bechinas helam? Why do we choose to say that this tzelem refers to the Etzem, the oyer, and the Etzem ha'oyer? Not that who refers to the oyer also, not only to Atzmus, because the helam shayach loymar the dover, because the term helam is properly applicable with dover in such a thing. That is in proximity to be in a gil. If you say that this is helam means this is a state of being. Something that is not at all in proximity to gilui, you can't call it helam. But this is simply saying, can you call a rock stupid? Insensitive? Dumb? Idiotic?
Stony.
Why? Doesn't have that capability. It doesn't have that whole phenomenon. That it doesn't. It's not within its realm. It doesn't have this whole element of a. This is all spiritual. It's all spirit, sensitivity, wisdom. It's not a physical phenomenon. The rock has none of these. Okay, so this is emotional. We're saying that we say helam is applicable to something that has an element, a relationship to Gilui. Something that doesn't have the word Gilui in its realm, then the word Helam is not applicable. Since that Atzmus itself does not have any relationship to the Yifun Gilui, it cannot possibly, there's no Gilui element in Etzem. Therefore, Helam is not applicable. So if we say that there is an Indian that this is proper, who refers to something that has the quality of Helam, if it has the quality of Helam, it has to be Oyer. Because Oyer can relate to Gilui. Therefore, it has a quality of Helam. Okay, so let's see inside what the Rebbe is saying. The Helem Shayach Loimar, Helem is applicable to say Bedovan such a thing Be'erech li B'chinas Gilui, that has a proximity to be in Gilui state. V'haina B'hoy, and that is only by the oil. She'ef Sheli B'chinas Gilui. The oil, She'ef Sheli B'chinas Gilui, the oil which is possible to be in a state of Gilui. Umiktas mimenu bo b'chinas Gilui. And then also actually miktas mimenu, some of the oil, a little influence of that oil does come in Gilui aspect. B'chinas Gilui. And I want to go down 3 lines to the end of this parenthesis, and then we'll go back. Mitzvahs men of Bob B'chinas Gilui, some of it comes B'chinas Gilui. Being that this is such a thing that has a relationship to Gilui, and some of it is actually come B'chinas Gilui. And therefore, our klol is Oyer, and the Oyer in general, Gam B'chinas Etzem Oyer. I'm going to go very quickly in this just to give us the idea what the Rebbe is saying. Oyer in general, Gam B'chinas Etzem Oyer, even that element of Oyer which is the Etzem Oyer. She'enu B'chinas Gilui Klal, Etzem Oyer which is not in Gilui at all, Shayach Loiman, nevertheless there too it's applicable to say who, that this is is referred to as who. Shehu B'chinas Helam, which is the Indian for Helam. Why can you play to Helam to the Oyer even though the Etzem Oyer is not Begilui? Mi'acha sheyesh bo yini hagilui, since that it has the element of Gilui. B'chinas hayispashtus madreges achtena shebei. And the lower madreges of Oyer, the region from Gilui. Therefore, there you can talk about Helam. Oyer at the higher level does not come with Gilui, but at the lower level it does come with Gilui. Therefore, the overall principle of Oyer is something that can be described as Helam. Because Oyer at the lower level has a different Gilui. But Etzem, which does not have the different Gilui at any level, there the word Helam is not applicable. This is the principle that I was explaining. And we will probably go back on this several times before we pass through it. All right. So again, I want that we should understand what this is about and how this is pertinent to us. I said a class like this would be an excellent means to get everybody away out of the class and never come back again. I want we should understand what is this about and what is its pertinence to us. Again, as I said before, in our world, in our lives, there is a fundamental challenge, and that is, I don't understand what's going on. What is all this from? What is this all about? How can I relate to it in a serious manner? Look, I'm an intelligent man. Okay, I'm not going to be self-destructive. I'm not going to act irrationally, because what am I going to gain by that? But I'm always ready to rebel. What's going on? I'm groping in the dark. As much as I know what's going on, I'm acting properly, and I'm starting constantly groping in the dark. I really don't know what this is about. So this gives us a bit of an understanding and an opening. It helps us to relate to our own reality, that not knowing what this is about has a rationale to it. This is not because we are short of knowledge, we are kept in the dark. On the contrary, when those who go further say, no, I'm going to get to the point that I'm going to know what this is about, they are going into the darkness. They are going into the darkness. They are going into a false reality. Because the real reality comes from the unknowable. I'm sorry?
French line of philosopher said, when I know that I know nothing.
Right. Well, that can be said sarcastically.
Yeah.
Okay, what I'm saying is that the saying sarcastically is that's the negative. There is a saying that our foreign quote from Aristotle. Whatever he was a very profound philosopher. And he said, Yodeya she'eino yodeya, yodeya. If he knows that he does not know, that means he knows. That's real knowledge.
Could you say that again?
Yodeya she'eino yodeya, yodeya. All right, this is it for this evening.